consumed by all of these UX laws, the UI rules, then user psychology, etc., etc. I joined Unacademy as a full-time designer. I was still a student back then. I was still going to college and stuff, but don't put shitty stuff on there, okay? It's a whole negative effect if you do that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Design Height podcast. And I think this is some of the 40th number podcast again. I still don't remember the number, but this podcast is going to be really amazing because we have a wonderful guest with us. And today we're going to talk about a lot of things around design, around his journey, and everything. I hope you guys will be excited about this. So I'm just going to welcome Gahan on the stage and then we'll kickstart the podcast. Hey Gahan, how are you doing?
Yeah, bye. I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let's just kickstart the podcast with a little bit of your introduction for the audience out there.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so hey folks, my name is Gahan. I am a product designer at Loop Health, previously at Unacademy, and yeah, I'm a design school graduate, and yeah, I'm into music, photography, and any other creative thing that you can think of.
Sounds amazing, and I think definitely we're gonna get deep a lot into all of these things. I think before just we was talking about how like my observation of design school people have been different, and I just really want to know your opinion on this as we started. But let's just start. So why design? Like because as you said, you are a design school graduate. How did you figure out design is something that you want to go for? Why not engineering? Why not something typical family path like doctor, engineering, or something else? So why design?
So this is actually a pretty fun question that I always tell people when they ask me why design. So this roots way back to my eighth grade. I was in 2013. I had a smartphone. Don't ask me why, but I had a smartphone back then, and that was running the older version of Android. And once the newer update came out, the material design guidelines also came out at the same time. So it was Android Lollipop. So the design changed drastically, and I was very intrigued by that. So the way the visuals of Android Lollipop at that time stood out to me was insane. So I saw most of the apps also started like adopting the material design guidelines, which actually looked really simple, minimalistic, and eye-catching. And slowly, my eye for design started developing from then on. And I don't know about a field, a specific professional field existed called design until my 12th grade end. Till then, obviously, my parents were forcing me to get into engineering or medical, but yeah, luckily I found out about the design field uh, just in time. So I registered myself for UC. That's the design exam hosted by IIT Bombay, all over India. So I was able to crack it, get a pretty good rank, pretty high rank, and got into the college I wanted, which is PS University here in Bangalore. And yeah, so I did not expect to be able to, you know, learn all of these things in a design school. So when I started out, I was pretty base, like I was amateur. Everyone around me knew how to paint, how to sketch, and I felt that was something missing in me because I couldn't really sketch that well or paint that well. So I felt like an outsider there. But slowly, I realized that that wasn't the case, and it was a it was a field that welcomes everyone. So yeah, this was my journey into the field of design, and the main important uh, thing was I was always interested in something that has uh, like a creative side to it. So design was the perfect blend of everything for me, and I got to do what I wanted.
Sounds amazing and fascinating as well. So let's start with what kind of degree that you chose, and how did your college, because obviously it's a design college, how did your college shaped you to the way you are right now?
Yes. So in our college, we have three main branches of design, which is industrial design, interaction design, and communication design. Other design colleges might have a lot more, but these are the three fundamental ones that we focus on. And the one reason why I chose PSU University over any other college was that the syllabus structure was more technical rather than artistic, which is what I also wanted to do. I wanted some technical aspects to the fundamentals of design that I was learning. So coming to the second part, well, I would say the design schools they're great for fundamentals and stuff. You get to learn a lot of basic things that you don't get to learn when you're you know a self-taught designer. There are a lot of things that uh, you might say it's old school, that you're depending on a professor to sort of teach you things about design. Like you might have notions that, hey, like they're pretty old, they don't know much about design, like what will they teach you and stuff. It's not true. uh, the fundamentals of design is quite important for uh, you know anyone basically. So I wouldn't limit that to a designer alone. So any human for that matter would have uh, some fundamentals of design, like grasped somehow, like maybe through interactions with others, or like experiencing different things. So here you get to learn the fundamentals of design properly, be it the color theory, be it like any shape, spacing, yada yada. So you get to learn all of those things with the help of your professors who are pretty well versed in all of this. And you might think that these are absolutely nonsense. This is not what the industry expects us to do. Right? But once you focus on that and get it right, the other things fall into place automatically. So I would say your fundamentals, your basics, if you get that right, it's like half the work done for you. So that way, I would say design schools are pretty great. But when it comes to the part where you need to learn about what the industry wants, what the industry expects, I would say being a self-taught would have an advantage there.
Makes sense, and I think I agree on these points that uh, self-taught designers learn industry wide things much faster as compared to any design school person, because again it's a similar approach like engineering and getting into industry. You learn a lot of theoretical, you learn a lot of maths, but when you come to the industry you don't have to do all of that. You have to do research, and then you have to figure out solutions and optimizations and other pieces, which makes a lot of sense in design as well. But like how was like pest like how was your experience, like anything special that you did, how like you would have talked to a lot of engineer friends of yours, like how their college experience has been. What do you think really stood out for you?
So when it comes to my college, it was mostly um, unique in a way because they adopted the syllabus from NIT, IIT, as well as Srishti. So Srishti is one of the popular design schools in Bangalore here. They take a more artistic approach to design. So I would say my college was an amalgamation of like all of these other colleges, and we did not miss out on like anything that IIT was able to offer. I mean, except the brand tag and the uh, placements and stuff like that, of course. But like that's known. But the things that you learn, I would say we got to learn what most NID students or the IIT students would learn in design. So that way, I think college really was useful. Uh, and when it came to the engineers, I would say, well, PS actually known for engineering. It was one of the most prestigious college for engineers, right? So the engineering route was all sorted out for them, and I really did not get a chance to speak to other engineers from other colleges and all stuff. But yeah.
Makes sense, makes sense. So how was your experience in terms of placement like? Because I know that in design college generally don't have exams, they have a jury system and everything else. So how were your placements like? Did you got any, and like what was your first gig of design?
So in terms of placements, I would give my college the benefit of doubt because they had started the design course recently, not very long ago. So they did not yet have the reputation to get in the companies to hire us, and especially my batch and my seniors. So we were not able to get good product based companies to recruit from the campus. Uh, of late, it's been really good. It's been better, I'd say, for my juniors. I'm happy for them. But yeah, placements was an issue. Some people who wanted to sit for it, sat for it, got it. Happy for them. But I was really not into, such kind of a company. I was mostly inclined towards product based companies, and that actually has a good set of designers, reputed designers, or even like uh, someone who has the ability to sort of like teach me, mentor me in the company itself, right? So um, all of the all of the places that I've worked at so far, it was all on my own, including the internship at YKET. So that was my first ever official design gig um, in the professional world. So yeah, I found out about YKET outside of college itself, like not through placements or anything, but yeah.
Amazing. So how, because a lot of people audience in the audience out there would be asking, how did you crack Rocket? How did you found Rocket? Was there any strategy around it? Like how that happened?
So it was really different this time because I was looking out on internship opportunities, which was not in abundance at the time I was looking at. I also had just a single case study back then because of some issues that I was facing at home. Uh, Whereas my classmates were having 3, 4 different case studies, so I thought, okay, they might be able to um, get internships easily, and I have to like struggle a lot more. But that wasn't the case. So I prepared my portfolio. It was a very basic one, but I tried my level best to get it to a good standard and had the case study and all of that in there, sent it out to people, and even posted about my availability on a public Discord server. So that's where one of the people who was working at Rocket back then approached me and said, "Hey, like, we're looking for interns, design interns. Would you like to work with us?" And also, and there were a couple of designers already there who were doing like pretty great work. So I was naturally inclined and said yes, like let's go for it. And it wasn't a long, it wasn't a long interview. I'd say it was a pretty short one, just I think 2 rounds of interviews, and I cleared it, got the internship. Yeah, spent 6 months there.
Sounds amazing. So how was the process of rounds? Like was it like whiteboarding or something? How was that process?
So for me, since it was through a referral of a very strong and reputed person, I was able to skip the whiteboarding rounds. I know it doesn't sound very efficient, but luckily I was able to directly go through the interview, like those question and answers rounds, where I was asked about like how strong my product thinking was and how good I am at uh, analyzing and breaking down a problem, right? So more than design, so my visuals were pretty much sorted, which was like it was pretty much appreciated by the entire team there, um, and they just had questions about my product thinking since I was, still in college, a student looking out for an internship. That was a major concern for them. So my majority of the questions were about product thinking and breaking down a problem, analyzing the problem, how I would solve it, and all of those. It was not, I wasn't given an example problem or anything. It was just that the questions I was asked was in a way where they could deduce that yes, this person can or cannot uh, understand this problem, right? So that was my first round. So second round was basically a culture fit kind of a thing, and that was it. Those were the 2 rounds that I had in Yocket.
Sounds amazing, and I think that's what I tell a lot of people that referral does work until at least you have good work out there, and good people to back you up too, which definitely makes sense, as you kind of make yourself show your work out there. That sounds interesting. So how after that, I think you joined after a while on Academy. Like how did that happen? And I think at that time you would have been looking for full time opportunities. Then how an Academy happened, and like how was the process around?
So again, that's another interesting story about an academy. So this was in 20, I think 2022 Feb. Uh, okay, no, 21 November. So yeah, this was in 2021 November when the design team at Unacademy posted a tweet about a new challenge called Unacademy Debut. So the major goal of this challenge was to sort of help the team recruit a bunch of designers and give them a first chance at their career, right? To work with a great team there. I honestly did not think I would go through. I lacked confidence back then, but the only reason I tried that out is because I thought I might have a good case study next, since I only had one. So the only reason I tried that challenge out was to get another case study. But luckily, I was able to go through the next round, which was the interview rounds, and I had 2 to 3 interviews at an academy, and eventually cracked it.
Sounds amazing, and I think, like you mentioned about like having that, like taking that competition up and like doing that case study with the thinking that you would had one more. That makes a lot of sense, and I think people out there should have a feeling in their mind that, uh, like showing your work again, same thing, showing their work and being part of these competition designathons and other pieces that really helps again to
Yep.
make yourself out there, to make people believe that you are a designer in the world who cares about the products, who cares about their user experience, and that really stands out to people who want to recruit. That sounds amazing. So, how was your experience at an academy after you joined? How was the design culture at that time and everything around it?
So yeah, at academy, I joined in Feb 22. That was when my internship ended at Blockit. So a week later, I joined an academy as a full time designer. I was still a student back then. I was still going to college and stuff, but I can't give up on that opportunity, right? So it was the end of the COVID wave, and yeah, though the first day when I went to the office, there weren't any designers or any people in the office, right? So um, after probably a week or two, that's when everyone else started coming in and working from the office for a few days a week and stuff. I would say the experience is unimaginable. It's brilliant. It's amazing to work with such a focused and such a driven team that you get to explore things about design that no one could have ever thought of if you had not uh, worked with a, I would say, a remarkable team, right? So working with a remarkable team comes with its own advantages. It's highly valued. It can open up doors to other opportunities that you may get outside also. And the most important thing is you learn so much in such a small span of time that it's invaluable, right? So I would consider myself really lucky to be able to work with uh, such a great design team for my first actual full-time job.
Sounds amazing. I think you were lucky enough to kind of become part of an amazing team, and at that time, it was a really amazing team. People were really learning a lot, and I think at that time there was a really boom in design, like learning, getting people hired, and a lot of things were happening in design communities and everything around it, and that makes a lot of sense. So how, so why did you then decide to make a switch, and then why Loop?
So this was in November 22, when the layoffs started happening across an academy. Uh, so the first round of layoffs was in March 21, which affected a lot of great folks in the sales department and stuff. Second set of layoffs were in, I, I think, somewhere in between of 2022. And the third set of layoffs, again, like that was in November, where we were told that, product and tech wouldn't be affected. But unfortunately, the situation was so bad that it had to see even important tech. And unfortunately, like a couple of great designers alongside me also had to suffer the consequences there. And I was one of them. But honestly, I did not lose hope or anything as such. I I was glad that uh, I took all the opportunities I had, and like I could learn so much within a small span of time. So um, I did not have any regrets, or I did not uh, feel bad about it or anything. It was, things happen. You will have to move on, and you never know when things will go south, right? So you'll have to always be prepared. And the one thing that definitely helped me was my uh, skill set, and like upskilling during the time at Unacademy. So I did just not stop at what I learned from colleges or other designers who mentored me, right? You just have to keep on learning, no matter what. Like, you can come across various things online that uh, could seem new to you, or you don't know how to sort of like design something. So you'll have to keep on learning that and upskilling yourself. I'm not just talking about your hard skills, right? Your soft skills also matter a lot. So uh, yeah, so these kind of things actually help me gain back my confidence, and you know just help me sail through the rough sea.
Fortunate, and I think that's really unfortunate that the lays off happened, and but I think that gave you another chance to look back at your yourself, your value, and that's how definitely loop would have happened. So just want to know how did you figure it out after the layoff? How did you take, like, for sure you told her how did you take it, but how did you figure out that loop was the one, and like how was the interviews after that? Because after doing some work in the industry, the interview process and how you want to perceive make the recruiter perceive yourself is different. So how did you do that, and what kind of tips would you have for people like that?
Definitely. So I did not reach out to people immediately after that. I took a couple of months of break, but I did have like a bunch of interviews lined up in between, and I used to take them here now and then. And after I interviewed with a couple of companies and stuff, when I almost reached, like, let's say the third or fourth round, or maybe even the final round, that's when I realized that this might not be the right company for me to grow. Um, like, it should be a 1:1 ratio of what you give and what you get. That's when you know that it's a good growth company, or even like it may be even 1:2, where you might give like one and you might receive two, right? So that's also a great thing to have. So after completing a couple of rounds of interview, you get to analyze, okay, fine, this is how they work, what uh, this is how the people are in that particular company, and this is what you'll be getting to do, right? uh, so once I analyzed all of those things, I realized, okay, fine, these are the companies that I would not see myself in a couple of years down the lane also. So one of my seniors from college happened to have worked at Loop before, and she sort of referred me to the company, and this was over Twitter. So just a fun fact: I have never ever worked in a company directly that has probably through hired me through LinkedIn or like any other place. So this was all on either Discord or Twitter. So yeah, I reached out to the co-founder on Twitter. We had a good chat, and then we set up a call just to just a quick vibe check and stuff. Uh, and they liked my profile, they liked my portfolio, and this was also back when I uh, completed my portfolio just when Framer was about to start booming. I picked up the tool instantly and uh, quickly came up with a design for my portfolio and stuff. So they really liked that, and Yeah, so the one thing I really liked about Loop is that things move very quickly. Even the interview. So right from the get go, you get to experience the pace of the interview. Probably, I think I received my offer just under 14 days of interviewing with them. So that was the pace of, and it took 14 days because of my availability issues. That's all. That's the thing there. If not for my availability, I think this would have been done within a week. So that's how fast they move, and that's one thing I really like. So the second thing is it's a very design centric company, which I definitely want to be a part of. The co-founder himself was a designer before, and he was the head of design previously at Amazon, PureFit, and places like that. So that was definitely a huge plus point for me to be able to work alongside a team like that. And I know for a fact that design is given value there. Design is going to be the forefront of the company. So uh, that is a company that I would love to work at. And Loop sort of like checked all the boxes for me, and uh, yeah, I knew that was my uh, that was the workplace I wanted to be at.
Sounds super amazing, and I think everybody, everyone who will be listening would want to work with a in a company where founders are designers, and I think that's really helpful. I think with my experience, I can also tell that when a company has a founder who is design specific, that really helps to take make your team much more collaborative, give much more ideas. Value is given to your ideas, and how those ideas can really shape into what the company wants. Uh, that's an important factor. Like, and that sounds really amazing. As you say it, that's there, or else there will be like a lot of fights from the design leader to the founder to kind of make those decisions possible. Uh, that's again, as I said, that's a little tough in sometimes. Definitely interesting for sure. A good problem statement, a good company to be at. You learn a lot of crazy skills there, like how to fight for your decisions. That's the biggest skill I have learned here. That how do I fight for my decisions? That this design is something that is user centric, has to go out, or users will suffer. I have to bring user advocacy to the table, so that things are taken care of. But definitely having a founder as a designer definitely helps think faster and makes yourself upskill faster as well. That makes a lot of sense. So being at so many companies, like having good amount of experience, what would you say are three learnings that you have got from all these experiences that you have had?
That's a great question. So I definitely have learned tons of things over the companies over the years that I've worked at these different companies, right? So it's quite hard to place the top three learnings, but I'll try my best. So the first thing I can think of is uh, your product thinking should be on point. I mean, it may not be accurate or something, but like some designers that that I see nowadays, like the younger ones, like completely ignore product thinking, right? You as a product designer should be able to crack problems and solve for everything. So you might face a lot of nuances when you're solving this something, but you just focus on one particular thing and be like, you just design a bunch of rectangles, some squares, some circles, and be like, "Ha, this is done." Like, no, that's not how it works. You need to place yourself in the shoe of the user. You need to act like the user and make the decisions like the user itself. And the way you crack those problems and come up with the edge cases, it really shows it would really show your quality as a designer. So being a designer is not just about uh, designing rectangles, squares, circles, or whatsoever. You The main part of being a product designer is being able to solve problems in the best way possible and leaving no stone unturned. Like It's your job as a designer to give or put forth a design that solves for all the edge cases, and no one has to tell you that, hey, you missed out on that, you missed out on this. It's not their job to tell you that you missed out. You have to be attentive enough, you have to be uh, alert enough to sort of understand that, okay, fine, this might be a use case or this might be an edge case. What happens if I do this? And I think that was one of the major learnings that I had. The second thing being, do not say yes to everything. This is a this is one important factor that I've learned uh, over the years. You So let me just set a context. This can be when people approach you for a design task, or this can be when you're fighting for your decisions, and they some other people with high position, may be able to influence you for something else, right? To go in a different path. You should stand your ground. You should be able to give no for an answer, and you should be able to ask why. Just because people with power tell you that, hey, this doesn't seem right, you have to do it this way. Just because they have power doesn't mean that you have to follow them, they're always right. Correct? You have to have a brain of your own. You have to question, why are they saying this? What could be the problems that could lead to this? What could be the consequences of this? And uh, what was the thought process behind saying this? Why are they not accepting my path? Right? That doesn't mean you need to develop an ego for it all the time. You need to know when to say no. Also, that is the third thing. Second thing was learn to say no. Third thing is when to say no. It's not always that you have to like say no to everything, question everything. You slowly develop a skill set where you can instantly understand whether it's the right choice or the wrong choice. And uh, another thing to add on is people often get consumed by all of these UX laws, the UI rules, then user psychology, etc., saying that, hey, the user might do this, hey, the user might do that. No, it's not always right. It's a stupid thing to assume that the user might do this, the user might do that. The user does not care. Humans are Their psychology is relative. They only compare, or they might be able to deduce something when they have two things to compare. So that's why I also say that, A/B testing is not the most efficient way of testing. I also, like, you have comparison, and obviously the people will go for the better choice all the time, right? So it's not always safe to assume that the user will do this, the user will do that, and all. Like, users are not that stupid also. So this is, I could say, this is the bonus point, but uh, yeah, like, don't assume that the user will always do this, the user will always do that. You have to test that, you have to test this and all. There are some few things that uh, you would be knowing yourself, observing other people, observing your friends. So just another skill that I would suggest people to have: be observant all the time. Like, be it with your parents, be it with your friends or anyone around you, even an inanimate object, right? So, okay, that was an exaggeration, but yeah. Um, Observe how they interact, observe how they communicate, observe how they react. So you would be able to understand and get some crazy like information about how a user actually behaves. Maybe your target user, or may not be your target user, but um, it's a very crucial thing to do. It's that a user will not always behave the way you expect them to, right? And yeah, this was probably another bonus point. So yeah, these were the few key learnings.
Makes a lot of sense. I think I really love the third one. And third and second are both important. First is to basically learn when to say, learn to say no, because there are sometimes you don't want to do things, or you want to do things when you know the right reasons behind it, right? Sometimes people might know the right reasons, and you should just know about them. You might learn from them, and questioning some of the decisions really helps you to know the reason behind those things. Why are we doing it? There might be some business critical things or something else. That's really important. And second point, and the third point that I really love, that it's not always you have to say no. Sometimes you do have to take up some opportunities which might be in your way. I still remember from some of the stories that I have heard from a lot of folks out there is they took that specific opportunity at that moment. That's why they are at that company right now. And especially when you are interning or when you are in your younger years, you should take some interesting opportunity that comes your way that can really shape your career and you won't even know it. uh,
Yeah.
that's what I would really want to add. Makes a lot of sense. Amazing journey you have had so far. Amazing learnings you have had so far. What? So this is a question that I ask everyone who comes on the podcast. So what's next for Gahan? What's next for you?
Okay. I really haven't thought about it. So, uh, my life has been very spontaneous. It's never planned. I don't usually uh, plan on doing a certain thing, right? It was always spontaneous for me. YKET was spontaneous, Unacademy was spontaneous, even Loop was spontaneous. Never really planned for it, right? Um, so I don't really know what's next for me, and that's the best part. So when you know that, okay, fine, this is what I want to do, this is something that I want to go ahead with, it's yeah, and you know it, you're expecting it to happen, you might work for it and yada yada whatsoever. When you don't expect things, it and those um good things, when they actually come to you, you'll be surprised. So the spike of emotions add on to the value of it. So I don't really know what's next for me. I might spend a couple of years here. I don't know if I will move out or stay here. I'm not sure if um, I'll be in the same room also. But uh, yeah, I haven't really planned for what's next.
Sounds amazing, and I think everybody has their own part to take, and that's. But I really agree with the point that whenever things happen spontaneous, the kind of kick that you get, you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah,
uh, and that's an amazing thing to take on. That's really amazing, and I think we are on a very fun round to take. We're going to start with a rapid fire round of ours. I will ask you some questions. I will mostly give you two choices. You can give me an answer, and if you want to explain your answer, it's up to you. I will leave it up to you.
sure.
Cool. Ready? Let's just start. Uh, okay. When designing user interfaces, do you lean towards option one, minimalistic and clean design, or second, rich and immersive visuals?
I would say rich and immersive visuals for sure.
Cool. Uh, would you prefer designing for simplicity and minimalism, or focusing on consistency and familiarity?
Mm, I would say consistency and familiarity for sure.
Makes sense. Uh, when it comes to user feedback, which method do you find most valuable? I have three options here. One, usability testing. Second, surveys and questionnaires. And third, user interviews and feedback sessions.
So I usually do both one and three. Uh, I find them to be the most informative.
Makes a lot of sense. So, when starting a new design project, which aspect do you prioritize? First, user research and understanding. Second, ideation and brainstorming. And third, visual aesthetics and UI design.
This might be surprising to most of them, but I do all of the three at the same time. So while the research is going on, I'll be getting into the nuances, the visuals, and everything. So I would say all the three at once.
Makes sense. Let me ask an amazing one. So, this is a little different. When incorporating illustrations, do you prefer hand-drawn illustrations or vector illustrations?
I have to say vector.
I agree. So next one. This is, I think, a little different. So would you, when designing a e-commerce, let's assume you're designing an e-commerce platform, would you prioritize first product showcase and clarity, or second, engaging user experience and storytelling?
The first one.
And I think even e-commerce as a space, showcasing your product in different ways and making it clear to the people is more important.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense. So last one. So when it comes to user testing, do you prefer remote or in person?
Huh. I definitely prefer in person, though all I've done so far is remote. Uh, I would say in person would give you the most accurate results because you see the expression on the face, you see what they're up to, and you can sort of even engage with them in between or towards the end, asking them like, why did they slow down at this point, and like why did they try to tap on the other button, or whatever it may be. So in person is always entertaining.
And I agree. I have a little anecdote here. So, whatever I have done both. So I feel in person has much more insights than like remote, because first you, especially when you are, let's assume you have a Figma prototype and you want to test them, you want to make them test it. So like doing a remote, especially in a mobile prototype, it's a little difficult. When it's desktop, sure you can do a certain things, but when you are offline you can see the user action, you can see the user getting frustrated on their face but not on the hands. Like it's a
Yeah.
little it's you can make more insights of a user when you are in person. And again, it's a human thing. Like you get more comfortable when you are in front of a person, you can talk to them. It's again, it's a human tendency to do that. But yeah, amazing answers, amazing curious question. So this is the last question that I have for the podcast. So you have been on an amazing journey from finding jobs, getting laid off, getting job again, and being through amazing parts of your journey, amazing startups, amazing worlds. What one piece of advice would you give to any budding designer out there who would be listening to this podcast?
Hmm. Uh, okay, that's an interesting one. I would say be open to everything. Um, don't bring your ego in between for anything when you're, especially when you're learning about design. Respect everyone that you come across. Maybe you're like uh, people of the same age who are in a better position as a designer than you because you started late, maybe, or something. Whatever it may be, right? Respect every designer that you come across. Learn from them, and do not give up any opportunity of um, like learning at all. So let's say you might have um, an event to attend, a conference of some sort. So my entire story, the beginning of the fire in my story was because I attended a dribble meetup in Zeta in 2019. That's when all of the eye-opening stuff happened for me. So you never know, one event could change. Just go to that event. Um, I do have a lot of things to say. Network a lot, uh, especially with like well-known designers. Like, just don't send them a request and leave it at that. Try to approach them. Try to engage in a conversation. See the and one hack that I would love to tell you guys is when you're approaching, let's say, a senior designer or someone reputed, right? It's always a question of time. What are they getting in time in turn of like you approaching them? They need to get some, you're getting something out of them, right? So now they need to get something. I'm not talking about monetary benefits or something, but ensure that you don't mess up the conversation or act silly or whatsoever. Like, be friendly. Just, I'm not sure what you can offer. Like, you might have several things to offer, but like make sure that it's worth their time, right? And the third one would be this. So people would encourage you to put out your work, no matter what it is, and like, because you need to get yourself out there and you need to show the world who you are and stuff. Just because people say that, don't put shitty stuff out there, okay? It's you get it's a whole negative effect if you do that. Make sure whatever you're putting out there is actually pretty good enough. Stop posting nonsense, okay? The moment you start posting, maybe you're in the early stages of your career or like you're just learning and stuff like that, but I would suggest you to not have an online presence right from the start. Like, make, like, go explore and stuff, but when you're posting, make sure that your work makes all the noise there. It needs to be in such a way that you're like, let's say it should feel like you're rising from the ashes or something. So I would, if I were in your shoes as a junior designer, I would definitely avoid posting shitty work online. I do have some shitty work online on Dribble. You know, you learn from your mistakes. So that's why I'm telling, stop posting shitty stuff online. If you do want to post, make sure it's like the highest quality and amazing thing. Because as humans, if anyone wants to approach you, they would approach the best of the best, right? They wouldn't approach a mediocre fellow and like ask stuff from them, right? You don't take advice on how to buy a Porsche from a person who owns a Toyota or something, right? So if you want to be that person, make sure you have the best content, or like, let's say, the best work out there for it. So sharpen your skills first, get yourself to a position where you know that your work is commendable or at least like appreciable to a certain extent, and then like put out your work, because that will gain you so much traction, I can't even tell you. I never posted a single case study uh, that was just like in a draft state by me. I do have like a couple of dumb work that I did when I was in college, but I didn't post that. I made sure that the case study that I'm putting out is of the highest quality, at least can has visuals that can be looked at and is up to the industry standard at that point of time, right? And luckily, that turned out to be great for me. Got a good amount of traction on it. So yeah, that's my last piece of advice. Don't post shitty stuff.
Makes a lot of sense, and all these advices were actionable, and people should definitely take care of like these advices and take something out of it. Thanks, Gahan, for I think giving away a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience from your journey, and I think people are going to learn a lot of shit from this particular podcast. Uh, I just want to thank you for coming out there and sharing your time and knowledge for everyone who would be listening to this podcast, and thanks for everyone who would be listening to this podcast. And I will leave your socials in the description for anybody who wants to reach out to you. You can ping Gahan a lot for every question that you have. And thanks Gahan again for coming in, and see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for having me.